and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Today we'll be talking about volleyball and cross country. Speaking of cross country, joining me this afternoon is head coach Brett Crowley, along with Alexis Brazier and Kyle Hall. Before we get started, guys, let's take a look at this clip.
The Indiana University East cross-country teams earned a sweet sweep of the team titles at the Red Wolf Rumble on August 29th.
Beautiful day for the Red Wolves. 2 team wins today, and our first Red Wolf Rumble victory. I'm very pleased. Our women did exceptionally well. Grace Eaton coming and Haley Rogers pulling second and third today. Our men, 3 of our top 5 men finished within the top 5, Seth Prince leading the way. All in all, a very good start to our season on a very, very hot, muggy afternoon here in Richmond. My voice is about to go, but all in all, great start to our season, and hopefully we can continue this effort, and we'll use our next meet at Indiana Wesleyan to see if we can get better.
Grace Yetten finished second in the women's race to lead the IU East women.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was maybe not quite as stressful as what I was expecting.
I know you and Haley were running together quite a bit of the way. I assume it was good to have a teammate right by your side.
Yes, it was so good. She was constantly pushing me out, and if I'd been able to go quite as hard if she hadn't been right there.
Got the team win as well. IU East hasn't won a team race since 2010, so talk about how excited I assume you are to get that trophy.
Yes, that is very exciting. First win is really exciting. It's I think going to be a great season.
Seth Prince was third in the men's race to pace the IU East men. Seth, congratulations. A team win for the first time for our program since 2010. So talk about getting a hold of team trophy.
Team, it feels great. It's great being a senior on this team. It's just great having the whole team come together. It's the closest we've ever been, team-wise, on time. So it's really it's a good season starter and a good way to get it going.
Individually, third, they had a couple guys out in front of you. I think your time was very similar, maybe even faster than last year. Talk about your individual race.
I hope it was faster than last year. I felt it. They just took off on the first mile and I couldn't catch them. I tried to, and they just kept gaining, kept that far ahead of me, so it was good.
And then the contributions of the rest of the team. I know you didn't see them till the end, but as you saw right behind you, a long line of our red. So talk about how nice it was to see that.
It was real nice going around that crazy turn there at the finish line, just being able to see all of our team following me in. It was real great seeing how close we were all. It's the first I've seen us be this close. It was a real nice way to finish.
And any other thoughts from your point of view from this one?
It's a good season, good way to start it, but there's more to come, hopefully.
On the victory, as you mentioned there on the clip, the first Red Wolf Rumble victory so far. What's that mean to you?
Well, first of all, thank you, Caleb, for saying so. Anytime that you can launch your season in a way that provides your team confidence, and to be at home, we don't have very many home meets. We compete at Earlham, which is cross town here in Richmond, but this is the lone meet that we have on our campus, and an opportunity for our runners to be in front of their family and their friends, their classmates, and anytime you get a chance to start the season off, as we did with both teams winning, it's a pretty special thing.
The men's team had 5 of the top 9 spots. What was that like?
Well, for our team, I think Seth Prince in the video clip put it very well. For him to lead, but to have the remainder of the team specifically coming in one right after the other. We talked about in the preseason our goal was to have our group team split in between the first runner and the 5th runner to be very, very small. And the same thing for the women's team. And I think the men's team was able to accomplish that, and it was very, very rewarding to see that much IU East red coming across the finish line as they did that day.
The women's team also did well. They had 3 of the top 5. What was that like for them?
Well, especially for Alexis, who wasn't feeling well that day. Has been struggling a little bit with headaches, migraines, and sore throat. Again, for Alexis and as well Teresa to back up what our first 3 runners were able to do, created a great team effort all the way around. Obviously, Grace and Haley did very well pacing our team, but really the day was made by Teresa and Alexis from that standpoint. Especially Alexis sticking out, being sick, and running not at her best and not feeling at her best.
Now, I know you made a comment in the video clip that it was kind of hot and muggy that day. Was that kind of into what caused people not to feel well that day?
That may have been, and we talked all week, and even prior to the Red Wolf Rumble about hydrating, and many of our practices were during the middle of the day so that we'd get used to the heat and humidity of late August in Indiana, and I think that had certainly a contributing factor to sometimes, but I felt like our team was prepared and well versed on what to do, and for Alexis it was just a matter, I think, going through a little late summer cold. But from that standpoint, I felt like we were well prepared. But the heat and humidity make cowards out of a lot of runners from that standpoint. But our team did very well with that, and really didn't let the weather impinge on their focus at this particular race.
Now, Alexis, we'll start with you. What was the Red Wolf Rumble like for you?
It was a little difficult this year, just from being sick and everything. So, but I mean, this was the fastest time that I've ran on our course so far, so I was pretty impressed with myself.
Now, how exactly, as you a runner, how did you place?
Not as well as I would have liked to, but I think all of the girls could have said that just because it's our first meet, and we have a really young team, like a lot of them are freshmen, and so they didn't know exactly what to expect, and now that they do, I think that their racing strategies will get a lot stronger and a lot better.
Kyle, what was it like for you?
For me, it was great. I've been here, I'm a junior now, so I've been on the team for 3 years, and the win that we got that day, that was 3 years in the making, and for Seth, it was 4 years. I mean, cross country is always a fun sport, but when you have the opportunity to win a meet, it makes it that much more fun. And for us, we kind of knew coming in that we were going to have a good opportunity. I personally didn't feel that the heat bothered me too much. Coach Crowley did a great job of preparing us all week. We did a lot of practices in the heat. We made sure we were well hydrated, and from my point of view, that really helped out, and that's why we were able to pull out the win.
Now, what are some of the steps that you take in hydrating for a hot meet like that?
Well, I used to believe that the only way to hydrate was just drink water. But since I've gotten to IU East and learned from the mentorship of my excellent coach here, eating food that has a lot of moisture in it is a good way to do that. You don't want to eat things that'll dry you out, so we don't eat a whole lot of salt the day before the meets or anything like that. And we try to make sure we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and that's usually the steps that I take to stay hydrated. Anything
else you guys would like to add?
No, I do agree with him, though, about the practices during the heat earlier in the week. We did a lot of hill runs that week, too, just to kind of keep up with the pace of how we were going to be doing in our race, too, and I feel that helped tremendously.
Yeah, it was definitely an excellent meeting. I think that going forward, that's going to be something that springboards us into having a really successful season.
Both teams are going to get a lot stronger, too.
Well, of course, another big meet coming up soon. Coach, tell us a little bit about that.
From that standpoint, we hope to do well at the Indiana Intercollegiates. This is an opportunity for us to go against the state's very best. Not only will universities like ourselves will be representing the NAIA, NCAA Division III, Division II, and even the Division I schools will be attending this particular meet at Purdue. We're looking forward to seeing how we match up and seeing what we can do on a very, I think, advantageous course. It'll be fairly flat from that standpoint. Anytime you have a chance to compete against the very best, especially in our state, and see what we can do and see how we can compete will be a good lead-in and a good preparation for other races throughout the rest of the fall. So we'll hope to see how we do at that juncture in time, and look forward to good fast times from there.
Now, is this the first time you've ever participated in this meet?
No, we've since I've coached, and I think my predecessors, we've attended the Indiana Intercollegiates. It rotates sites throughout the state, and this will be the first time in my time as coach that we've gone to West Lafayette and race there. So it's something that we do something similar in track with the Little State meet, and in cross country. This acts as an opportunity for us to get together with all the other universities and colleges in the state that offer cross country to see what we can do and see how well we've improved from the first day of training camp to now.
All right, well, all of us here at IU East wish you guys the best of luck in the rest of your seasons. We'll be right back with more Inside IU East Sports.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
Welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. The volleyball team had a very busy Labor Day weekend as they went to Middle Missouri for the Columbia Classic. Let's see what two of our volleyball players had to say.
Joined by Katrina Detweiler and Madison Yoder from the Indiana University's volleyball team, here to talk about their weekend at the Columbia Classic. Long weekend. Katrina, I'll start with you first. If you could maybe sum up the weekend as a whole, what the team took away from that weekend.
It was definitely rough starting off, but towards the end, every game, I feel like we definitely progressed in our play and played more as a team. And then finishing playing against Columbia, who was ranked 9th, and then we held our own against them and played really well. So I think it was definitely a positive for us. This year, we're really focusing on little stepping stones. Being such a young team, we have a huge room to grow and improve. And so right now, we're just trying to focus on the little things and baby steps.
And Madison, what was your takeaway from the weekend as a whole?
It was the same. The first day was really rough, and I think we learned and kind of refocused from that day for the go into the second day, and we went into it with a more positive mind that we were playing tough teams this week, and it was a tough tournament, and that we were motivated to play well against Columbia, especially because we had something to prove against them, and that what we did against Park the day before was not the team that we were normally.
Let's break it down match by match by match. You both alluded to some of the matches. We'll start with the Park match, which I'm guessing you probably don't want to say too much about it, but just what were the things that had to be learned from that match, playing against a team ranked 10th and the performance they put on?
Definitely not to let anybody get into our heads mentally. I feel like we went into this thinking, oh my gosh, they're 10th in the nation, they're a really good team, they know what they're doing, we're just here, but we gotta not just get so mental about everything, and we can take on anybody that we play, and we can play with the best teams in the nation.
And Trini, just your takeaway from the Park match.
Yeah, similar to what Madison said, I think we get really inside of our own heads and just our mental game drops. I think physically we can play with any of those teams. It's just getting us to play aggressively. I think a lot of times we get in our own heads and start playing more conservatively, playing the smart shot instead of, getting the one that's going to get the point and get the kill. So I think just playing aggressively is going to be huge for us.
Then I'll kind of blend the next two matches together. They were both 5-setters. First one against Lindenwood Belleville. Won the first 2 sets, but then Lindenwood came back to win the next 3. Then you came back the next morning, lost the first 2 sets against Arizona Christian, and roared back to win the next 3 to win the match. So that all I saw was the stats. I didn't see any of the actual action. But talk about what I assume was just the roller coaster emotions, being up, then down, then having a night to stew on it, then down some more, and then finishing up. Just talk me through that roller coaster.
Lindenwood definitely, we were really confident after winning the second set and winning both of them. All right, this is how we need to play. We were recovering from the Park match, and so we went into Lindenwood up 2-0, and then we kind of relaxed after that and got unfocused in the next 2 games, and then just kind of started freaking out about everything and became frantic, and it just kind of got away from us. And then going into the second day against Arizona Christian, we were down 2-0, and then we had to fight the second day to come back, and we wanted to prove that it's not, the first day was just a fluke for how we play.
And Trini, what was that roller coaster couple matches like for you?
I think it was positive in some ways because when we were playing well, we were playing really, really well, and it was good for us to see because our season has been such a roller coaster, and I think a lot of times we forget, how good we can be whenever we're down. So I think the positives were definitely huge for us, and then once again, like whenever we're playing down, it was never just like our skills, it was all a mental thing, just focusing on the little things. So I think just like staying consistent in our play and then focusing on the ups whenever we're up is going to be huge.
And finally, the Columbia match, which you both talked about. It was a setback, but Columbia ranked 9th in the country, and all 3 sets very close, very even. So Coach Niekamp talked like, even though you never want to be too happy about a loss, but there were some positives in your play, and you're both nodding, so I'll assume you'll agree.
Yeah, we kind of compared the Columbia game to the Kokomo game that we played. Even though we lost, like, we still played up. Like, we didn't let the fact that they were 9th in the nation get to us at all like we did against Park. We went in like, we have nothing to lose, so let's just go, give everything, just give full effort for everything.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really played a team of that caliber yet, so whenever you're making a mistake against a 6'5" Russian girl, you probably don't take it too seriously, you know, it's bound to happen. So I think we came into that game just a lot more lighthearted, you know, the pressure wasn't on us to win, and, you know, any point we got, any match or set we took away from them, that was just like a bonus for us.
And then after that, had basically 2 full weeks without a match. Just a few words on the things that the team's been focusing on in these 2 weeks to get ready for kind of the second stretch of the season.
I think we're definitely like going into this, like, none of the teams that we play, except maybe a few, are going to be as tough as Columbia and Park are going to be. So we took that as a positive for us, that the fact that we can play up with these really good teams, that we're going to go into conference on top and motivated and just taking everything that we've learned already and just knowing and not hoping, but knowing that we can beat everybody and win.
Yeah, I think a lot of this week has focused on our mental toughness, finishing drills, going long or going harder, and like conditioning type things than we have. So I think like the team has really been focusing on that, and just like the little things have been huge for us. So just breaking things down and just trying to get stronger in those things, getting ready for conference.
All right, Katrina, Madison, thanks for the update. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And there you have it from the IU East volleyball players themselves. We'll be right back right after this.
Dylan Newman had a terrible dislocated shoulder after a bad dirt bike accident. The long-term solution, surgery and intense rehab.
I trusted Reed Orthopedics because they had already fixed my ankle. And within 4 months of my surgery, Dr. Miller and my Reed therapist, April, helped me to regain my motion and most of my strength. Thanks to Reed Ortho, I can get back to what I love. It's all about trust. Right, Dr. Miller?
Right here at Reed.
Right here in Richmond.
It's time for Wolf Smack on Inside IUE Sports. Wolf Smack is where I will ask our guests a question. They each have the chance to answer the question, and then I will pick the winner, and the winner will get 30 seconds of FaceTime to promote whatever they would like to. Now, the NAIA's 5 core values are integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. Which of those 5 values does IUE's cross-country program exemplify, and why? Kyle, we'll start with you.
I would definitely say that our program best exemplifies servant leadership. Any sport that you play, if it's played in a vacuum, is not going to be as enjoyable. The community is what makes sports fun, the fans being there. And for cross country, the unique thing is that we actually will run through the community, and people will see us, they'll honk at us, they'll wave to us. And for us to be able to give back to that community through community service events is a great thing. It really builds the team camaraderie with the community, and that's probably what I think IU East does best.
And how about you, Alexis?
My answer would have to be responsibility, and that's because if you take a look at the GPAs for the women's cross country team and the women's track team, they're one of the highest in all the sports that we have. And so I feel that the women's cross country team takes they take responsibility very seriously because we act in the classroom and on the field.
And how about you, Coach?
Well, I think I'd have to chime in with respect. Kyle and Alexis had great answers, but respect, I think, ties into sportsmanship and respecting the sport itself by coming to each meet and even each practice and being prepared, being ready to try to improve and get better. But when we go to the meets, especially to be in a position to demonstrate that we want to compete, we want to compete well, but do so within the rules, and again show other competitors that this is not just about wins and losses. From that standpoint, it's about again congratulating each other on a well-timed effort. On Saturday, I saw a lot of bad sportsmanship between Notre Dame and Michigan. From this standpoint, for our team, when anytime one of our runners crosses the finish line, turns around and hands water back to a teammate or someone else from another team, or high fives them, someone else, a fellow competitor in a race after a well fought situation, and they say congratulations, nice job. That's something that I feel is very important, and certainly demonstrates a lot of character for our team when we do that.
All right, well, I will say that since the first time since I've been host, this is probably the most difficult decision I've had to make, honestly. So you guys did not make this one easy on me. But I'm a big one about doing stuff in the community and stuff, so I think, Kyle, I'm going to have to choose you as our winner, so you have 30 seconds to promote whatever you'd like.
Well, I'd like to take my time here to thank everybody that came to the Red Wolf Rumble. Like I said, people being at the event is what makes it enjoyable. Also, if you weren't able to attend, it's not too late. We have another meet coming up at Earlham, which is right here in Richmond. So if you can make it out, that'd be awesome. Our schedule is on the website.
All right, well, Brett, Alexis, Kyle, thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports. Now joining me on Inside IUE Sports is IU East Assistant Athletic Director and Sports Information Director Kyle Wright for Red Wolf Fact or Fiction. Red Wolf Fact or Fiction, I will ask Kyle a question. He has a chance to answer it, and you, the viewer, can go online to facebook.com/IUE Red Wolves. The first person to post the correct answer will get a free t-shirt. Now, Kyle, the question is, prior to the Red Wolf Rumble, when was the last time that IU East finished first in team standings at a cross-country meet?
At a meet, okay. What's tough about this, I can kind of remember each team winning one, but I can't remember if it was the same year or a different year. I know the one that each had won one before. I know the men's one, it was actually a duel. And this one I know for sure because it was the first year we opened up the IU East cross country course. It was a home meet against Cincinnati Christian, and so the men finished first out of two, and that was in 2010. So I'm darn sure about that. The women, I'm not quite as sure. I know that the one they won, the trophy was purple. I can see it clear as day, and it was called the Kentucky Christian Late Night Run. They spelled night with a K. It was because their nickname was the Knights, so it was actually in the morning, but they called it late nights because they were playing off their nickname. But as far as what year it was, that was a tough one. And I can't remember if we won both of them in the same year or not. I'm going to say it was the same year, so we'll say, to make it easy, that 2010 for both the men and the women was the last time we won, finished first in a cross-country meet before this year.
So is 2010 your final answer?
I'm not saying it's my sure answer, but for lack of a better idea, it is my final answer, yes.
All right, Kyle's final answer was 2010. Now you, the viewer, have the chance to go online to facebook.com/IUE Red Wolves, and the first viewer to post the correct answer will get a free t-shirt. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports.
I'm Dr. Ganesh Ramachandran, the region's only hand specialist at Reed Orthopedic Center. Patients love how easy it is having everything under one roof and how easy it is to get here. Right here at Reed Orthopedic Center, right here in Richmond.
That sound that you just heard means that it is time for Wolf Center, which is where we take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the Wolf House sound that you just heard for free on your iPhone or Android device by going to the iPhone Store or the Google Play Store for the free download of the IU East Athletics app. Now taking a look at last week's results, on August 29th, the men's golf team placed second in the battle at B-Town. Franklin Christ placed seventh for the Red Wolves with a score of 80. The women's golf team placed third in the battle at B-Town. Alex Van Wenzel placed fourth in her IU debut. Men's cross country placed first in the Red Wolf Rumble. Seth Prince was third with an 8K time of 29:15. The women's cross country team also placed first in the Red Wolf Rumble. Grace Yetton placed second for the Red Wolves, and her 5K time was 21:55. Also on the 29th, the IU East volleyball team lost to number 10 ranked Park 3-0. Morgan Dobbs led the way with a 300 hitting average and 2 blocks for the Red Wolves. They also lost to LU Belleville later that day 3-2. Bailey Gates had a 333 hitting average and 6 blocks for the Red Wolves. On August 30th, the IU East volleyball team beat Arizona Christian 3-2. Madison Yoder had 26 digs and was on the all-tourney team. The volleyball team lost to number 9 Columbia 3-0. Mallory Livingston had 15 kills and a 481 hitting average. And on September 7th, the IU East men's golf team won its own fall tee-off tourney on September 7th. Franklin Christ was a silver medalist with a score of 70. Now taking a look at next week's schedule, on Saturday, September 13th, the IU East volleyball team will be at Georgetown. That starts at 3 p.m. On the 13th and 14th, the men's golf team will be at the Vincennes Invitational. On Sunday, September 14th, Trine will be at IU East for the men's tennis team. That starts at noon at Glen Miller Park. On the 14th and 15th, the women's golf team will be at the Southern Indiana Classic. That's at the Cambridge Golf Course in Evansville, Indiana. On Tuesday the 16th, the men's tennis team will be at Franklin. That starts at 5 p.m. in Franklin, Indiana. On Wednesday, September 17th, the IU East volleyball team will be at Earlham. That game starts at 7 p.m. at Earlham, and coverage will be on IUERedWolves.com and also on WETV. On Friday, September 19th, the cross-country team will be at the Indiana Intercollegiate match. That's at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. And also on the 19th, the women's tennis team will be at Brescia. That starts at 3 p.m. at Moreland Park in Owensboro, Kentucky. That concludes this episode of Inside IU East Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.